Yeah, could we go around the group a bit and people say their name and say where they are and a bit about what they're doing. Is that okay, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. Shall I read out names again? Is that going to be the easiest way?
Well, they've got the names there.
But just in terms of getting an order.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, fine.
Shall we start with Josh?
Yep, I'm Josh. I'm a playwright and I'm struggling with the play while on furlough.
You're writing a play at the moment that you were
Yeah.
writing, presumably you were writing before.
Yeah, the same one. I think it's getting there. Yeah, it's nearly there.
Where are you?
I'm in Southeast London, in Bromley.
Oh, right. Okay. I come from there, so good luck with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Andy, next person, please.
Jack.
Hi there. I'm currently in Brighton. I'm an actor and a writer. Currently doing a year at RADA. Doing time.
Okay. Good. Okay. Thank you. Next person, please.
Jessica.
Hello there.
Yeah.
I'm an actor and I'm in Islington at the moment where I live, but from Nottingham originally. But yeah, just a working actor.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Andy, next person.
Dante.
Hi, Dante.
Hello. How are you? My name is Dante Jean-Felix, and I'm an actor.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Lane.
Hi, I'm an actor and theatre maker. I'm currently doing my MA at RADA, and I'm in Manchester, in the UK.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Vicky.
Hi, I'm Vicky Wild. I'm currently hiding out at my parents' in a Fenland village near Peterborough, and I'm an actor-writer, juggling a few little projects at the moment.
Have you been writing during the lockdown?
Lockdown is what really propelled me into writing, like with more intensity than I ever did before.
Well, I have to say that's very encouraging to hear, because my own experience and that of several people I've spoken to has been that lockdown hasn't inspired them to write, that they've just felt rather low and dispirited. But so I'm rather cheered up to hear that you've been stimulated by having nothing else to do, I guess.
Yeah, exactly that. I think because I normally live in London, and surviving in London, paying the rent, you can often get very distracted. You're jumping from tube to tube, job to job, and then you don't give yourself the time to breathe and just think. And it's just given me that time.
Good. That's good to hear. It's cheered me up. Andy, next person, please.
Charlene.
Hi, I'm Cece. I'm a theater maker trying to stay sane during lockdown, and I am currently in my parents' house in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. Thank you.
Dominique.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dominique Galeano. I'm from Honduras, and I'm currently living in Buenos Aires, where I'm studying communications. I mostly I'm mostly written from the journalism, about journalism, sorry. No, sorry, I've mostly written journalistic articles, and right now I'm trying to write something more creative.
Yeah. What is it, a play, a novel, a movie, or?
A novel, or a small novel, a novel, perhaps. Just trying to perhaps use it as my thesis, because it can be a production thesis for my communications bachelor. And yes, I'm trying to do that.
And they will accept a small novel as your thesis?
Well, 2 years ago, they accepted the first novel as a thesis. It has to have a academic, a theoretic, sorry, mark, theoretic mark, sorry. And then the novel. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
And Kristen, stay alone.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm camping out at my parents in Shepherd's Bush. I'm an actor and creator, also at RADA with, I don't know where they are on the screen, but and Jack.
I'm in Shepherd's Bush as well.
It's a nice place to be.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but at least it's sunny today anyway. Yes.
Nicer than where I would be in East London.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. Andy, shall we start with the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got about an hour. I think some people need to leave about 4:15, so we'll keep to the time. I think we've got 4 readings, so we'll aim for obviously roughly quarter of an hour each. So, Hanif, I don't know how you want to select who wants to go first, or if anyone wants to volunteer. And then I'll sort of keep time, and then Hanif will lead discussions, etc., post readings.
I don't mind who goes first or whatever order. That's entirely up to you.
Have we got any willing volunteers then?
I'm happy for my piece to go first.
Lovely.
Okay.
Good.
So
Okay.
don't worry if there's any mistakes or anything. We can we'll be sort of editing it before actually the final product. So it's sort of nice and relaxed the whole way through. Lovely. All right then.
Play for 2 people, preferably sharing one computer screen, to be performed over Zoom.
Is it starting or?
Yeah, it's started. I mean, there's a waiting room. It's about to start.
Do I look all right?
They can't see us anyway. It's one way.
Yeah, I know, but I thought, you know.
No, that's nice. I'm not going to change though.
Of course, you don't need to. So.
Oh, it's starting.
Okay.
Silence as they watch intently.
Do you think he picked this song? Or
No idea.
I like it. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't remind me of maybe the kids.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you think it is terrible if I have a glass of wine? I'm nervous.
No, will you bring me one too?
B continues to stare at the screen while A returns with wine.
Cheers.
B,
Sorry, that was
cheers.
that was a bad joke.
No, it's fine. Cheers.
They cheers. They drink.
There's a lot more people than I was expecting. I mean, it's not a crowd, but still.
Yeah. 187 watching online too.
So it's definitely over 250 people.
What?
I mean, a lot of people are probably watching together, and there are definitely more than 10 people there, which is nice. Illegal, but nice.
Maybe we should listen. They're about to start reading.
Totally.
They watch in silence for an extended period.
Wow. Wow, she was so poised. She read that really well.
Yeah.
I mean, she had a lot of pace, you know, which is hard in these things.
Yeah.
Is he next? Is there a program?
No, but I think he's next.
Is that him? I can't tell with the angle.
Yeah, it's him.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous for him.
He'll be okay.
Okay.
They watch. They're both moved.
Fuck!
It's okay, it'll reconnect.
No, fuck! Should we go into the other room? I mean, we're gonna miss the...
No, the connection's better in here. It'll pick back up. See? It's reconnecting.
Yeah, but we missed the...
It's okay.
Oh, it's not okay.
It's okay.
Oh, shit. Suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell. On the 3rd day, he rose again from the dead. He ascended into heaven and is seated at the right hand of God, the Almighty Father. And there he will come to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Catholic Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and life everlasting. Amen.
A waits for B, looks at B.
What?
I mean, you could at least say the Amen bit.
You know I don't.
Yeah, but it's a funeral.
Yeah, but they can't hear us.
I still think, I don't know, the praying together part.
Look, you know if I was there, I'd...
No, yeah, I'm sorry. We should just watch.
They both return to watching, take sips of their wine. B is becoming visibly upset.
It's going to be over soon. No eulogy.
Yeah. But there's supposed to be a slideshow.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Any thoughts about that from anybody? As far as I could work out, this is two people who are watching a funeral. Is that right? And obviously we can't see, well, we won't see the funeral. We'll just see the two people watching. So that's rather a good idea, isn't it? Obviously, it's going to be, let's say, a new way of having funerals. Any thoughts from anyone? I thought that was rather an original idea, good idea. Any thoughts from anybody else? Yeah?
So having listened to your conversation last time and talking about, whether to make art for, for this world of Zoom or not, and if that's something that people want to do, at least when Lane and I were reading through this before, we were saying that it really works, this medium, if you write for the Zoom world. There are so many fun ways to play with it that I think Charlene captured really well, and ways that, with further exploration and rehearsal, it's quite fun to explore that whole world of how people interact with a camera, which is kind of a nothingness. It's because it is so one way and performative, but really for no one.
I like that. It reminds me when I first started, I used to work for radio sometimes, and I found radio such a fascinating form to work in, because it's so artificial, and because it's so intimate, and because you only hear it and you can't see it. There's only certain things you can do with it, so you start to play with it and enjoy it. And I was thinking, there's a Samuel Beckett play called All That Fall that's written for radio, and I was just thinking, well, I guess whichever form you're working in, whether it's radio, film, or television, or you're writing a poem, the form itself becomes part of the means of expression, doesn't it? I guess. And inevitably, if you're writing for such a new and quite strange form like Zoom, then immediately you begin to think about, what can I do in this form that I couldn't do in another form, and how is this going to interest me or stimulate me to do stuff? So I think immediately you've begun to think about new ways of using this form, and that's a tribute to anyone's creativity, I guess. Does anybody else have any thoughts? Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Vicky.
I was just going to say that it's quite striking, a funeral which should be such a important, solemn occasion, the contrast of that with the trivialities and the imperfections of something like Zoom, and that was captured quite well in that, and I quite enjoyed that. And I know from hearing stories about people that have had funerals online that it's this really strange, very dark, but also like comic in the fact that people watching might not realize that the microphone is on and they're saying things about the funeral and everyone can hear, all those sorts of things. So I think that playing with these two extremes could work quite well, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. It made me think there's a lot of potential in this form. Anybody else have anything to say? Yeah?
I think one of my friends is actually a funeral celebrant, and she said she's been crazy busy doing these Zoom funerals where even the celebrant isn't in the place where the body is, and I think that in this format, especially like with Zoom in the grid format, you've got immediately like all these different worlds that are lined up alongside each other. So and to extend the play further, if that was an intention, it would be you could just dip in and out of all these separate worlds that are happening with the kind of the distance from, like Vicky said, the kind of solemn occasion, but it's still being everyone's still being linked with that center point and that center event that's happening.
But it's also quite a comic idea, isn't it? The idea of these people living their lives while a funeral is going on. Obviously, that's going to happen to us too when we're dead. People who are mourning or not us will also be thinking about their shopping. They'll also be thinking about the rest of their lives, and that's our fate as well. So you really identify with all the characters, including the dead one in the story, actually. Good. That was very good. Does anybody else want to say anything before we move on? Yeah.
Just one thing, I think. On a similar point, really, it's that shining a light on a conversation that you wouldn't be allowed to have. Whispering or having a commentary during a funeral. It's such a new territory, really, isn't it? To have that commentary, and as a result, it does become this kind of comic commentary, and it's the kind of contrast of those two things, the banal and the tragic, is really, really funny. I think it really is very, it hits something right on the head. My partner went to her grandmother's funeral the other day, and it was 30-minute intervals of time, so it really gives a sense of this this treadmill at the moment that's happening. I thought it was really, really nicely written.
Good. Okay, anybody else before we move on?
Just a big thank you to the actors. It was really nice to hear that out loud. So thank you, guys.
Good actors. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, great. Andy, can we move on to the next one, please?
Absolutely. Anyone volunteer to go next? Who have we got next? Josh, about you?
Yep. Yeah, I can go next. Do you need me to put it in context, because it's sort of the last scene of the play I'm working on?
Yeah. Would you mind doing that, Josh?
Sure. So a guy walks on stage at the beginning. He's a dad to a 17-year-old daughter, and he puts a wash in the washing machine, and he presses not play but start or whatever, and the whole play lasts the length of that cycle. And during that time, his daughter is trying to tell him something, and his best friend who stayed over that night is trying to get out and can't, and lots of things happen to stop that happening. And then this is the end when the washing machine cycle finishes. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
The washing machine continues its cycle. Thomas assembles a clothes airer. Nat enters carrying a laundry basket. She empties its contents on the floor.
If that's washing, I'm nearly done.
Where are they?
Where's what?
The washing machine reaches the end of its cycle. The machine beeps.
My clothes.
Which clothes?
The clothes I was wearing last night, where are they?
The machine beeps again.
Hang on.
Thomas moves to the washing machine.
Did you?
Hang on, I said.
Thomas crouches, opens the door. He starts pulling out the damp clothes, looking for them.
Did you wash them?
Yeah, here they are. Look, do you need them right now? I mean, I don't think they'll be ready today. They have to dry. I can iron the top if you like when it's done. Would you like me to do that now?
Where did you find them?
The clothes?
Yes.
In your room.
Where in my room?
Under the bed?
Under my bed in my room.
Yes. Why are you being weird for?
Why did you wash them?
What? Why did I? Washed them?
Wash them, yes.
You were in the shower. I was doing the darks. What are you looking at me like that for? I was doing you a favour. They needed washing.
They were in my room under my bed.
Yeah, in a ball and stinking. You've got to take better care of your things.
I didn't want them washed.
Okay.
I didn't ask you to wash them, did I?
No.
Did I?
No. Sorry. Next time I'm doing you a favour, I'll ask first, shall I? Here. Take it.
Silence.
Nat.
Silence.
Nat. Will you hang it on the thing for me, please?
Silence.
Nat, for Christ's sake, take it.
Thomas gives up. He hangs Nat's top himself.
Clothes cost money. This cost money. This was your mum's. There.
Chuck it.
What?
Chuck it. Chuck it. Chuck it. Throw it away.
No way. You can't just chuck things when you're bored of them. You don't have that kind of money. Think of the planet.
Throw them away, please.
No.
Please, Dad.
No, and that's the end of it. Not another word.
Doug opens the door, about to enter.
Can you help me with the rest?
Nat turns, shuts the door on Doug, locks it.
Nat!
Dad, they weren't just clothes. They were proof.
Proof? Proof of what?
Tommy?
I get it. I get we don't have the money.
Tommy, open up!
And it's not that I don't respect my things.
What do you mean, proof?
Proof of what happened last night.
A thump at the door.
What happened last night?
Another thump.
Nat!
He raped me, Dad. Doug raped me.
Another thump, the door gives way. Doug has forced his way in.
She's lying, Tommy.
No.
You've got to believe me.
No.
This is me we're talking about.
No.
Oh, come on.
No, Nat. You must have made some sort of mistake.
Good. That was great. Some good writing today. Any thoughts about that from anybody? Yeah?
I really like the concept that Josh was explaining about the whole piece happening within one cycle of a washing machine run. I really like that when things are happening in real time presented to the audience like that. So that was great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, good. Anybody else? Yeah?
I really like how, obviously, when he's putting a wash on, I assume at the beginning of the play, you just think, oh, that's really normal. But then the realization coming, even as I was just reading it there, I kind of knew what was coming, even though I haven't read the rest of it. So it's fated from the beginning. Then the audience will, think back to that moment at the beginning and think, oh God, well, that's it, it's destroyed. So that's really clever. I liked it. It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah?
I think it captured also really well just that fear that women or anyone who has been raped might have. You often hear about rape kits not getting tested or, the kind of bigger scale things, but just the wash is something we do. It's such a banal activity. And that the importance that holds, I think you really captured that well in the way that panic builds up in a person and the importance on something that otherwise would be considered so daily.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it's amazing how much you can do in a so-called micro drama, though, isn't it?
Mm.
I mean, you can really start there and go there in a 1 minute or 2 minute or 3 minute drama. You can, a micro drama, you might call it. You can really get a lot of stuff in. You can go quite far. You might be interested. I've been reading recently a very interesting woman called Lydia Davis. I don't know if any of you know her stuff. Yeah, she writes really wonderful short stories, but they're really short. You know, some of them are half a page, some of them 2 pages, some are even less, a paragraph. And her essay is also a short. And it's amazing to read them, because you think she's gone from there to there, turned the whole thing around and given you a really quite a strong experience in no time at all. So I'm very interested in so-called micro dramas, particularly as I spend probably like the rest of you, spend a lot of my time watching, you know, 70 or 80-hour dramas on Netflix. If you've just recently rewatched, I think Breaking Bad, which is between, I think, 70 and 80 hours long. The idea you can do something in 3 minutes or in half a page on in a book is also very interesting. So that's really good. Terrific. Next person, please. Or does anybody want to say anything about Lydia Davis? I saw a lady down at the bottom on my screen who, the name of, do you want to say anything about Lydia Davis?
I just love Lydia. I was just, yeah, that's all. That's all
Yeah.
I'll say about Lydia. She's really
I would really recommend her. Yeah. Okay, next person, please.
Should we leave to Dominique?
Hi, yes. Actually, I think I sent a different thing. I didn't send like a script, so I don't know how it's gonna work.
Oh, I have a little something.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yep. Gotcha. A piece by Dominique Galeano. Everybody knew Xochitl would have a rough time living for a whole year in Switzerland. Still, whenever the subject was brought up, all she received was praise. Oh, you'll just love it. The museums are to die for. Everything there is so organized. No one dared talk about color, especially not in a mixed race family where the skin factor was so carefully overlooked, or perhaps hiding through Freudian slips and recurring dreams in a city too oblivious of its own neuroses to consider psychoanalysis or any type of therapy other than Bacardi rum and Sundays at church. So general tags were accepted in order to avoid just going in too deep on race or anything that would have people identify themselves as indigenous or Afro-indigenous like Zoe. This enabled a historical expulsion of indigenous groups from their territories. To ignore this meant to accept a new destiny, from an enclave economy to the world's best bilingual call center. A place with a political leadership willing to suck up to any Western authority, also a historically recurrent mishap in the region, needed a proper identity category, and the isthmus chose to be mestizo, a two-sided category. While generously condensing indigenous, African, and European ancestry, it also hides a colonial heritage. The survival of the whitest. A subject taught at an early age at every school. The whitest students were almost always the teacher's pets. Bonus points go for green and blue eyes. Perhaps a quick reading of Toni Morrison might have helped analyze the scheme that rewarded the mere fact of being white. Zoe was well aware, having survived and developed different techniques through her life. In elementary, it was aggression and violence. In high school, it was humor with a twist of cheap rum and weed and long nights of watching stand-up comedy on the TV. It was curious why she thought discrimination wasn't a possibility for her, as though her logical self wasn't available when thinking of her new life in Switzerland. In her mind, a new country would give her a new beginning. It happened, but just not in the way that she thought. The night before her flight, Zoe was going through the clothes she was taking. In the previous days, Elena, her mother, took her shopping for new outfits. A couple of jeans at the mall and most blouses and shirts at a secondhand store they like to go in the downtown. So I was thinking, since everyone I meet will be new, it's my chance to dress however the fuck I want. I really dislike you talking that way. It makes you cheap. Cheap? What's that supposed to mean? Whenever you tell us a joke or a funny anecdote, you usually slide in a curse word. Exactly, they have a certain use. Zoe was ready to go at it. One last fight to say goodbye. But when she turned to glare at her, she saw Elena had folded all of her t-shirts and was now involved in a sock matching affair. She was being too productive and Zoe was being benefited from it. Maybe a fight wasn't necessary right now. I'll go make us some coffee. Elena went downstairs and did her part in avoiding a fight. Zoe stood in front of the mirror. She tried a couple of tops she bought earlier. The tales of European freedom led to her a newly found cleavage blue top that showed off her late blooming breast. Elena frowned upon this purchase, which made Zoe even more excited to try it on while pretending to be a sexy seductress investigating on some murder case. Most of her fantasies involved her being extremely attractive at her workplace. The can't say no to a detective, the witty and sexy writer. A new wave of feminism was definitely on its way. As she pushed her breasts into one of the tops, she caught a glimpse of her feminine performance and was suddenly overshadowed with insecurity. Fuck, I'll never wear this. She was thin, huge nose, high cheekbones, and big eyebrows. Brown skin except for her pale-looking face, which combined with her pair of very small eyes would normally make her friends wonder if she was high and her mother worry she was anemic. Either way, these same eyes could go from nervous crying to a full-on fury if she felt endangered, which was most of the time. It's the kind of paranoia you only get from living in a country where just a couple of decades ago, Kissinger had turned into the epicenter for the counter-revolutionary movements happening in the Isthmus. The 80s translated into government-approved forced disappearance of unionized workers, organized students, and just about anyone who was against the military regime. Back then, Zoe's father, Leo, was a sociology student. He was a secretary for the Socialist Federation and had to go into hiding just a couple of days after he was sworn in. Zoe knew the story like the back of her hand, how he hopped from one friend's house to another. He couldn't spend more than a day in the same place. After a couple of months he came out, there was a peace agreement being discussed with a now debilitated military regime. Though relieved to be out in public, every day Leo stumbled upon bad news. Most of his friends were disappearing. They had also gone into hiding, but no one heard of them again. Just a few had the chance to flee into exile. Mexico was a safe destination for most Latin Americans living under similar regimes. This was called Operation Condor. Through the enforcement of the Operation Condor, the United States filled the country with enough fire guns to get rid of the Isthmus's entire population, or at least to ensure their domain over it. Of course, the official rhetoric went on about protecting the region's so-called freedom, or rather their freedom of using the Isthmus as a backyard from the Red Menace that was alphabetizing a whole population in Nicaragua and giving lands to the peasants in El Salvador. Zoe was going to turn 17 in a couple of weeks in a whole different country and as an exchange student in a Swiss high school. She was used to changing schools. Zoe's parents paid a lot of money for her bilingual education and were anxious to know how much this two-language thing could change her life. Surely they were to bring more money in than the previous generations, access a variety of information both in English and Spanish. It was a trend most upper middle-class families had no trouble getting on board with. After all, most of the culture consumed in the Isthmus was produced in the USA. Most 50-year-olds like Elena were entertained with a TV series like Dallas, and would die to eat some McDonald's fries after a Clint Eastwood movie. This was the Operation Condor's soft power. There's no need to kill you if I can shove a whole series of cheap fiction through your eyeballs and make you love me. Excerpt.
Oh, thank you. I really like that. Oh, thank you. I really like that.
Also, really well read. Thank you so much. Fantastic. Any thoughts, please, from anybody? Yeah.
I love straight away the kind of the contrast of the male voice reading the female in a monologue. I thought that straight away was something that was really really interesting and probably gave it a different spin to maybe what the writer was initially thinking while penning it. So that was really nice.
I learnt a lot. I heard a lot, and I learnt a lot. I thought there was a lot in that as well. Is that the? Can I ask you? Is that the beginning of something?
Yes, it will be. I think the beginning of the novel. I was starting to write for my thesis, and I think I have some paragraphs that probably didn't fit there, but it was just the things that came to me, and I'm really grateful that Dante, how you read it, because it made me feel a lot of things. At the beginning, I almost I got my eyes a little watery because it felt like you really understood what I wrote. But yes, that's something I'm starting to write.
Well, Dante read it really well, in my view. But also, it's really helpful to hear your work being read aloud, I think. And also sometimes helpful to organize a table reading insofar as you can with friends, or even to say the sentences aloud yourself, and you can hear how badly written they are sometimes, because you can't get through you stumble through the words. So it's always really helpful to hear your work read. That was excellent. Okay, Dante, you have something to say?
Oh, just real quick, just to give credit to Dominique, the thing that was very easy was, I mean, even the first time when I read it, the sarcasm that comes through in your writing and the sense of this two-layered thing of hearing what you're stating and hearing the opinion under that. It was very clear in your writing, and yeah. I mean, it's very easy for me to pick up what you were trying to get through in this. So as a credit to you.
Oh, thank you very much, Dante.
Anybody else quickly want to say something before we move on to the next one? Okay, Andy, should we do the next one now, please?
Sure. Who have we missed? My screen's just gone off. Still there. Ah, Vicky, you there?
Yeah, hi. So just to put this one into a bit of context, it's one of the early scenes from a play that I'm writing called The Smiling Coast, which is all about shining a light on the reality of sex tourism and toy boy relationships in the Gambia. The coastline is a famous tourist destination that's become known for that, and unfortunately predominantly rather than anything else. So with this scene, this is an early meeting scene, and I've kind of had a bit of troubleshooting with it because my intention is that I want the audience to sort of understand how many of these relationships typically start, and to also sort of fall for it themselves, to think about how do these kind of relationships happen, and how are these arrangements made, and question that they might not actually come about in the way that they think they do, and wonder whether these can ever be real with true love behind them. So yeah, any advice on it would be really helpful, because I have kind of struggled with this one a bit.
Okay.
The Smiling Coast. The Gambia is a small West African country surrounded by Senegal, boasting a rich history, beautiful beaches, affectionately known as the Smiling Coast, and welcoming people. It is also known as a popular destination for sex tourism, attracting Western female tourists that fall for the charms of younger unemployed men, known locally by the derogatory term bumsters. Tourists are commonly referred to as tubabs, a derogatory term that is used behind closed doors by locals but repeated by children in the streets. Wolof, Mandika, and English are typically spoken languages. Lamin, 20s, Gambian, lives in Kotu, the Gambia. Rona, 40s, white British, lives in suburban England. Suggested music prior to the play commencing, Gambia by Sona Jobate. Scene 1. Rona has decided to leave the security of her hotel's private section of the beach to explore further along the Senegambia coastline. She is very conscious that she is alone and an easy target for hustling beach sellers and bumsters. Lamin is one of many men who attempts to approach her.
Princess!
Rona refuses to acknowledge him and continues to walk.
I say, lady, how are you?
Rona continues to walk but slows a little. Lamin follows.
You are shy. It's okay, me too. I just want to talk with you.
Rona regains speed. Lamin walks beside her.
Why you walk away?
He steps in front of her.
Just give me a chance to
Rona stops.
To what?
show you a surprise.
Oh, yeah?
I'm not sure you would like it. You make me shy now.
Oh, never mind then.
She resumes walking.
Can I ask you, do you find me handsome?
Stops again.
Okay. Okay, what are you selling?
Nothing. I just want to make you smile.
He does a silly dance move. She smiles.
See? It works. Hold on.
Because I choose to? Is that unusual here?
Maybe. It would be a gift for me to protect you.
From what exactly? Boys like you?
Exactly.
Well, at least you're honest.
Yes. I always am honest.
How many other women have you hassled today then?
I hassle no one. I'm no bumster.
Okay. Try to seduce then.
I try many times. But no one gives me the opportunity.
Maybe you're trying too hard.
Maybe. But to tell you the truth, I am tired of it.
Of what?
The chase. Here we say, Dagabi Tefa met. It means life is hard.
What's your job?
Oh, there's no simple answer. I am trying. Try or die.
So, what are you trying to achieve in life? What's the dream?
Oh, to meet my queen. A woman who is intelligent, kind, beautiful maybe, and British, like you.
Why British?
Because they are the best.
Oh, what a surprise. Surely you have lots of other local women around.
Well, they are good, but white is my preference. I don't know why.
Because you think us tourist tubabs have got money?
Oh, no, not that reason.
Why then?
You ask many questions. Are you a journalist?
No, I'm just interested.
What can I say? I saw a woman like you in my dream.
Oh, did you?
Yes, she had the same hair as you, same lips. We were getting married.
Oh, well, I'm not doing that again.
Tell me, what color are my eyes?
They look at each other intensively, a little too close for a few moments. Then Lamin suddenly runs off towards the shore.
What are you doing?
Come into the sea.
No, I'm not doing that.
Hey, you should.
I'm wearing a dress.
Take it off.
Oh, you would say that.
Hey, Look, I'm going to say to England, bye. I've taken your passport. You have to live in the Gambia now.
Oh, I wouldn't mind. Bye.
Rona decides to sit down on the sand and carefully removes her loose-fitting clothing to reveal her swimwear. She preens a little and makes sure her body is in check. She pauses for a moment to take in the atmosphere and a picture of the view with her phone. Lamin watches on from a distance.
Hey, take a photo of me jumping.
Rona obliges. Lamin pulls a variety of poses and then walks back towards her.
Now, you and me need a selfie. Then you can tell your friends back in England, you meet the famous Lemin here, famous in all the world. Don't worry, be happy.
Rona obliges and goes to him to take their selfie. They smile with big, cheesy smiles.
Say, Mama Africa.
Mama Africa!
Lamin steps back to admire Rona's physical form.
Ooh, you look so fine. Look at that body. Those calves. I see you are sporty too.
Not really.
Me? This is my gym.
Where? The beach?
Yes. Everything I need is right here.
He does a physical exercise to show off what he can do.
Very impressive.
I will train you too.
Oh, will you now?
But you need to take care of the sun.
It's okay. I am.
Or you will be a lobster.
No, I won't. I'm careful.
And if you are a lobster, then I will eat you.
He mimes biting her in the air.
Wait here. I know of something to help.
He runs off stage to a nearby Juice Beach bar shack. He quickly returns with a pot of cream, a large conch shell, and 2 juices.
What's all this?
Our first date.
You didn't have to.
I know. I wanted to. A hospitality.
Oh, is that sun cream?
It's a natural butter from a special plant.
Oh, right. Does it have an SPF?
Turn around. Let me show you.
He straddles his legs around her from behind. He takes out his phone and puts on the song Turn Your Lights Down Low by Lauryn Hill and Bob Marley. He puts his phone into the conch shell so it acts like a speaker. He massages the cream onto the back of her neck. Rona closes her eyes and she enjoys, and then starts to sing the song softly in her ear. End of scene.
Great, good. Thank you very much. I enjoyed that as well. Any thoughts from anybody about that? Thank you to the actors, terrific.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that reading. That really brought it alive to me. Like, well, yeah, I'm very, very impressed. I'm a bit speechless right now. I'm going to be quiet for a minute.
Well, it's really good. Obviously, for those of us who are keen students of the Daily Mail, it's also a familiar story. But what I thought you were going to do with it was to, well, is to twist it in some way. I can only guess. I haven't read any more of it. I don't know whether you've written any more of it, but I guess it goes into a more interesting place than most of these tabloid stories do. And there's a lot of potential in there for making a more interesting piece out of this. But I thought that what you showed us, it worked really well. It was really believable. And you didn't think for a moment that she was going to be taken in by him. And you didn't think for a moment that he thought that she would be taken in either. So, you know, you believe that something else slightly different was about to occur, but of course I haven't read any more. So do you want to say a bit more about the piece, or does anybody else want to add anything?
Yeah, just in response to what you're saying, yeah, that it definitely does start to take a different turn, but I'm quite glad that it doesn't necessarily come across that they're both like deluded and stupid and they haven't got like a critical eye on things. And that's what I just wanted to establish in this scene, that it isn't just as simple as what, say, a Daily Mail tabloid might put across. That someone just goes into these things blindly without asking questions. But just for that scene to just establish how this happens, and then as the play goes on, things aren't as idealistic and as romantic as they might seem, but the curveballs that are kind of thrown in their way are not necessarily the things that you might expect.
Anybody else? Yeah, Dante.
The thing I loved reading this. One of the things that I found interesting, because I was always looking throughout the piece, was were the moments where he's really meaning what he's saying, and where is it just his regular jargon that he gives. The piece, but the moment that I kind of locked into as a piece that was, there was something else happening, was when he said, "I am tired of it." And you didn't know where that was coming from necessarily, whether that was from his honest place, and then he covers it with something else. I thought it was very interesting to see where the moments where he's hiding the shame, hiding the sense of regret that he's feeling, you know, which you hear a lot from these sex workers, is that, you know, they feel that sort of sense of regret and that sense of, what am I doing? But I need to still provide for my family. So I thought it was interesting, that moment of I'm tired of it, and coming so at such a crucial point when he's starting to begin this seducing. So that was interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else? Any thoughts? Jessica?
Yeah, it's really great. The kind of decisions that you can make as an actor as well is, where are the moments where, you know, Rona can definitely say no and walk away? Where is the bit where she gets hooked in? And actually, it's really interesting reading it from a point of view of, she is in control, and actually, as a Daily Mail reporter might say, you know, vulnerable, desperate, middle-aged woman, you know, all that kind of stuff. Whereas actually she felt quite in control of the situation, and there was something about him that caught her, and whether that was a genuine moment of connection or not, obviously that will play out. But yeah, it's really good. I want to know what happens.
Yeah, really nice writings. Anybody else? Any thoughts from anybody else? And do you have any thoughts?
I thought that every piece of writing was interesting and quite original. Thank you all. Thanks to the actors who read beautifully, and I'm really looking forward to hear some more. So bye for now. And again, Hanif, thank you so much for being part of Inside Out and the Writers' Workshop.